Hello and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Virendra Daphne from Standard Chartered, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. This is I'm doing in my personal capacity. Today, I have a pleasure talking with Rohit Dhawan, the person who is a regional lead for the APAC region from the Amazon AWS side. He also has a rich academic credentials, having a PhD in machine learning against his name. Welcome, Rohit.
Thanks, Virendra, and pleasure to be talking to you and the CDO magazine. I'm a big fan of the magazine, so happy to be a part of this journey. Now, in terms of my current role, my title is, like you said, Asia Pacific Region Lead for Analytics Platform Strategy, which basically means that in layman's terms, right, I help our clients, which are often large enterprises, and also certain digital native businesses and medium-sized organizations, create and deliver data strategies, which essentially means helping them be successful with data, like creating value from their data assets and fundamentally transforming based on the data theme. So that's my current role in AWS.
Rohit, as you said, digital transformation or the transforming strategies. Let's go to the first section of our interview, which is like digital transformation strategies and trends. And the first thing, as I'm also belong to same industry, the quite obvious question comes to the mind is many people term automation as a digital transformation, and many people are not able to identify clear what is digital transformation in a way for an IT industry or for any industry. Okay, so could you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think the term has been used so loosely, right, that different people have different definitions for what digital transformation means. In effect, everything is digital transformation these days, right? But I have my own definition, based on my own experience and what I've seen in the industry. I actually think digital transformation means, the fundamental transformation of a business process, or fundamentally changing how you operate as a business using new digital technologies. And these new digital technologies encompass cloud, data, artificial intelligence, blockchain. So the emerging tech is an enabler to transforming how businesses and people fundamentally operate. And the transformation happens because you are looking at doing something completely differently versus what you were doing before, or your business model has evolved to the extent that you're creating new monetization opportunities or experimenting with new business models. So that fundamental change or transformation that is enabled by digital technologies is, for me, by definition, digital transformation. But automation is purely the technology component of digitization, right? Which is, hey, I've got a manual process, and let me automate this. But that will save time or increase your efficiency, but it may not fundamentally transform people, process, and your operating model.
Okay. So I think that's very well said. So you're saying transformation will, in the end, not only automate the process, but bring a lot of value to the entire fundamental product or the company. Automation is merely just automation of the process or just cost reduction kind of a thing. Now let's take this little further. Okay, as you have a rich experience in all this area, and if you have to make a digital transformational strategy, okay, what will be the core factor that you think will be part of it?
Yeah, that's another very good question, right? So for digital transformation, in our experience, especially in Amazon world, right, we often start with the most fundamental business objectives, in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And what we do is, then work backwards from those high-level objectives, right? I mean, for example, right, your objective could be to increase market share by 10%, or your business objective could be grow by 20% year on year. or find new revenue streams, or or be more competitive in terms of how you target your customers. So based on your business priority, right, then it's a question of identifying these so-called digital transformation initiatives, right, that will help you achieve those business objectives. So starting with the business objectives, you start with the needs of your key stakeholders, and often for let's say for a bank, right, the key stakeholders are the end customer, the customer who banks every day with your organization, or your key customers are also internal stakeholders, let's say the team that approves loans, for example, right? So often in Amazon world, right, we work backwards from the needs of the customer, and these customers or personas are the key beneficiaries of that transformation, or they are key stakeholders in the path to fulfillment of those business objectives or strategic objectives that you set out. And when you work backwards from the needs of those stakeholders, then you can arrive at the transformational objective, right, which is then enabled by technology.
Yeah, I think that's very sensible answer, because I think it's speaking out very core concept of working backwards from the customer segment and their needs. Okay, so any youngster or people who want to make strategy are listening, probably that's a great value add. Now, if we just take this further and say, what are the core digital transformational trends that are happening across in the industry currently?
I think one of the key trends, right, and maybe I'm biased because I work for AWS, but one of the key trends is cloud technology. Now, often, people view cloud as a new technology platform, right, which per se by itself, right, may not lead to transformation, because what you're doing is replacing your legacy systems with new cloud applications. So instead of having your applications, your storage, your compute in a data center that's sitting at the back of your office, you are leveraging AWS or GCP or Microsoft's cloud platform for building your IT infrastructure, applications, and so on. So that looks simple, but I think what people are not really understanding is that moving to cloud or moving to a cloud platform is actually a huge trigger for expediting transformation, because the way you do things in an on-premise environment, right, where all your applications and data and infrastructure are essentially sitting in a data center, is very different from how you would do it on cloud. Because of the new cloud world, right, you have a lot more flexibility, you have a lot more agility. You are basically in a pay-as-you-go model, right, where you can only provision for the services as and when required. And that is a fundamental game changer in terms of how you go to market with your products and services. Like, for example, right, COVID struck, and for a lot of businesses, right, it became a question of how fast can we respond to that change. And the businesses that won were the ones that moved fast, and the ones that moved fast were the ones who were agile. I mean, you could be agile in terms of how you operate as a team, right? I mean, I can say I'm going to work, 12 hours a day and multitask. And for me, that is agility. But then you have a huge dependence on technology, right? You could be the best brains in the world, but unless you have the technology to support your thinking and the way you operate and apply that brain, you will not be able to create the results because of the dependence on technology. And that's where cloud technology comes in, right? Providing that agility and flexibility and speed to market.
Yeah. Okay. So you're mainly saying cloud is the more emerging trend that's coming out, but it's not only cloud. You have to be business agility and the other factors needed to drive that market. Okay, because there is a lot of sometimes I say there is popular trends. Okay, which is like AI, ML, and cloud. And then there is so-called unpopular trends also going on the legacy technologies. If you have to say one or two sentences, do you think these popular trends are going to make a difference in the coming years?
Yes, 100%, 100%. And you mentioned AI/ML, right? I think AI/ML is also a game changer, because today's AI/ML is so different from AI/ML 10 years ago, for a variety of reasons, right? One, I mean, at the time, I did a PhD in machine learning, right? At that time, machine learning was only in the realm of academia, and we did not have the compute power or the storage required to run machine learning models at scale. But because storage has become so much cheaper today, and there's a lot more access to computational power with the advent of cloud, for example. And the third factor is that a lot of these complex tools, right, that use AI/ML modeling have been democratized by these purpose-built or simple-to-use applications. Everyone today has access to AI/ML technology, and I think it's a game changer because of the volume of data that's being generated by all of us, who are interacting with digital applications pretty much 24/7, right? You use PayPal, Paytm, all of these payment apps, right? Then you check your social media, then you interact with another digital app. Now, I think one of the big benefits of AI/ML is that it learns, right? A machine learning, right? There's the learning in the ML, which you could apply to all the data that's collected historically over a period of time. And human beings, right? Our brains do not have the capacity to learn from such a huge amount of data or create any inferences, right? So mental models are incapable of doing what computer models can do. And I think that's where AI/ML can be a game changer. But really, I mean, there's a multitude of technologies, right? You've got AI/ML, blockchain, you've got fundamental cloud platforms, right, that provide the infrastructure. Then you have IoT. Regardless of which technology you use, right? I think any use case or any business problem will often require a combination of these. So I think that's important, right? To think about the problem we are solving, and the solution could be a mix of these technologies.
Okay. Fine. That looks a lot comprehensive answer, because you said ML as a game changer, but you're saying whatever the problem you're solving, the appropriate technology which gives the value and result should be chosen. So thank you very much, Rohit Dhawan, for joining me today. And for everybody, please keep visiting CDO Magazine Tech for CDO interview series. Thank you very much. I close it here.
Thanks, Ranjan.